Our first lesson this year is going to be related to an artist named Matisse. This is a book he wrote called Jazz, and in it there's several examples of his collages, and I picked out some that have the human figure in it. A lot of these collages deal with the idea of circus. The book itself is called Jazz, but here you see someone on a trapeze, and then he's got the word cirque, which in French is circus. But look at the gesture he's got for this woman. You can tell that she is either going to be jumping from the bar or she's just jumped there. This is one of his most famous collages. It's called Icarus, and it's based on the mythological story of Icarus, who flew too close to the sun. He had made wax wings to escape the labyrinth, and unfortunately his wax wings melted when he flew too close to the sun, so this might be where he's falling. And this one is, this is a person here, and it is a very gestural drawing, so kind of just the line is representing the idea of a person who's like doing the knife throwing. So, and then here's, can you see the shape of a woman? And then he loves to use these kind of organic shapes that could represent plants. But it's just kind of the gesture of the person throwing the knives in a circus type atmosphere. This is just one example of what a final project might look like. So just to kind of keep in mind what we're going for as we start sketching today. You should have found a couple things in your bag. One was this handout that has a person running on one side and then some different people in motion on the other. And then you should also have a pack of paper with colored paper inside. So a large piece of white paper and then 4 pieces of fadeless paper inside. We're gonna use the colored paper tomorrow, but today we are looking at this handout. So if we flip to this side, here's a finished drawing of a person running. And then to the left is that person made up of ovals. And hopefully you remember drawing people like this. We did it in 2nd grade and 3rd grade. And we are doing it again this year because the more you do something, the more you remember it. And each year you're gonna see new details. So the first step we're gonna do is find a clean sheet of your sketchbook paper, and you're gonna draw one person with the ovals. So if I make a mark, and I do have a black eraser pencil at home. If you don't, then you're just gonna use a pencil and draw lightly. And we are going to, so this line represents where the top of the head is, and this line represents where the feet will be. And we're gonna be drawing our person 6 heads high. So if I figure out there's the middle, I'm gonna do a little sketch to the side, which tells me, okay, I need to make that first one just a little bigger. So there's the top, then 1, 2, 3. Now I may have made this just a little bigger, and that's actually okay. I'm gonna, well, I suppose I should erase it just for here. But so an elementary student is 6 heads high, but then as you get older, you become 7 heads high and your legs are just slightly longer. I thought I would just stop here and show a picture of a elementary student. It says an artist measures a person with the size of their head. How many heads will we need? And here's the answer. If you look closely, it does take 6 heads to build up the size of this person. But in elementary, the middle point is your waist. So if I start drawing my person then, knowing the 6 heads high, then that first oval should be about the size of that. So 1/3 of this is going to be the head. Hope I'm drawing dark enough for the video. I think so. Then I'm gonna draw the neck. And then I will draw an oval for the shoulders. So you can pause the video as you need to. This line should happen at the top of your hips. So this is gonna be a big oval to represent the body. And then the hips. And the hips is basically the same size as the head, but just turns sideways. Then between the hips and the feet, the knees are gonna be halfway. So if I go hip to knee to ankle, and then the foot. That, I'm gonna just adjust this because it actually should go the other way so that it gets narrower as you go to the ankle. That looks wrong to me. Okay, hip to knee to ankle, and then the foot. The arms are always a surprise to people. If you look at your arm in the mirror, just feel on the sides there. Your elbow kind of lines up to the top of your hip. If you kind of push down to your elbow on the side, you can feel it hitting your hip. So shoulder to elbow goes to the hip, and then elbow to wrist, and your hand, if you look, your fingertips go way below your waist, about mid-thigh. So here's my person made up of ovals. And what's nice about working this way is that when you decide to have them in motion, instead of thinking about all the details and what's happening, you can just, first of all, start with the ovals and then add the details after. And it's a lot easier to adjust this because you're not so concerned about, oh, but I already drew the shirt perfect. It's easier to just adjust the ovals. And even before I put the clothing on, you can see how this is a nice smooth line, just like a person. So like here, you know, I could start adjusting some of this and make it look more realistic before I would add any additional details. Right here, it does come in at the knee, then our legs get bigger. So from here, you can kind of make some small adjustments for details. Okay. So there's step one, draw a person with ovals. All right, so we're ready for step two. You can draw on the back of that piece of paper or find a fresh one, like over here. You need to look at the other side of the handout now, and here we see lots of people in motion. Up above, there's several poses standing, and then we have lots of different sports poses. One thing you'll notice about this is that they outline the head and the shoulders and the hips, but then everything else is kind of a stick figure, which is also a great way to figure out your motion. And actually, I'm gonna turn my sketchbook this way so I can fit two side by side. Up to you if you wanna use lots of paper or do a couple sketches. So let's just look, let's see. Look here and decide. Maybe I will do the skateboarder. So if I'm doing the skateboarder here, I'm going to still be thinking about that 6 heads high. And I know if my head is that high, I'm going super light, just imagining, okay, that would fit here if my head was that high. If I made a head like, whoa, really big, it obviously would not even fit on this size paper. So keep that in mind as you're drawing. Then if you're in motion, here, the skateboarder, you might not see their neck. I should move it here so you can see what I'm looking at. And then their back is curved, and then their knees are bent on that skateboard. I'm probably drawing a little too close to the side of my paper. Then I've got the feet. So here, it's not gonna go all the way down to where 6 feet normally would be because of the bended knee. So as long as the proportion is still correct, the actual person might be shorter than the 6 heads high, which is true. If you were to squat down, you'd be shorter than what you are standing up. Then I'm going to have the arms, and we know how long that oval is, so whether that oval swings out up above the head, to the side, down below, it's gonna be the same length. So as you move these ovals around, we're thinking about that. This, and then this hand is up high. I guess I'm doing ovals and not the stick figure. But if you did the stick, then you can still come in later and figure out how wide does that need to be to look like a real person. Okay, and for this lesson, we actually don't have to worry about drawing clothes. We just need to get the basic gesture of the body, because we're gonna be cutting out shapes. So this could be kind of hard where the hand overlaps the body to cut out of paper, but not impossible. Let's try another one. I kind of like the look of this skier over here. So on this one, let's just look it up first. So the mountain obviously is at a big angle, and then his body is parallel to what the horizon line would be, and he's bending way down. So it might make sense to actually start with that mountain. It's kind of nice to have something to look at. If you've got a family member at home and they're willing to pose for you, you could also have them pose for you and think about what what the angles would be if you were doing a different pose. It's great to look at a real person. Okay, so then the head is looking up and down the mountain, and they are going really fast, so their arms are up high, and we see the other elbow too. There's a slight overlap. This also would be tricky to cut out because there's an overlap, but not impossible. And then the sticks are up here. So if I'm using the ovals, or I mean, not the ovals, but the straight line, then eventually I do have to like fill this in to figure out what, how thick the leg would be and what that outside edge would be. There we go. And maybe if there's even, they're being safe, they've got a helmet on, right? Okay, and then the arms need to get bigger. Might have to have someone pose for me to see just how the hands are. I think you'd see the back of the hand there, because I don't have enough detail on this little picture to figure that out. But then this would be pose, and I'd probably, whoops, even want to cut out a long skinny piece for the skis. Okay, so let's try one from imagination. Flip to this side. Okay, so there's a lot of dances that are super fun right now. And so you could maybe just think about like, what if I'm gonna have a figure dancing? So what might that look like? And just like some of these where we see the body bending because they're in a different pose, we could think about that for the person. That looks like running instead of dancing. Okay, so, but if you're dancing, maybe your hands are out. That could be kind of a fun pose for a collage, just because if you're trying to show someone dancing, there might be really fun colors in the background. And sometimes I do like just a hand like this, or you can also draw just like the thumb, because then you know what direction that hand is facing. So I'm gonna do some more of these ovals here. I gotta figure out which way the feet might be facing. So they're dancing or they're trying to catch a ball. But you know, the pose, maybe this foot actually should be out this way. I don't know. I'll have to look at that. So whichever way, if the foot is this way, the knee needs to be bent just a little bit different, or the foot could rotate. Okay, so do think about like, how can your leg actually bend when you're trying to put things together. All right, so I've got my one person in ovals, and then I did 3 sketches of people in motion. So that would be the minimum today, is 3 people in motion. And tomorrow we'll be thinking about what you want to do for your final collage.